My name is Mozn Hassan. I'm from Nazra for Feminist Studies. I have been raised by a really strong woman. My mother is really strong, and she raised me and my sister strong, and by coincidence, we both became feminists. And while I was a teenager, she introduced me to many of the diaries for the Egyptian feminists. And I do think that I was co-opted from this time by this idea and this movement. And I have been thinking through this history, and I felt that I want to live my journey as a feminist. We think that feminism as a school of thinking and approach and analysis, in addition to implementation, is something deeply multi-layered and multicultural and intersectional, can understand the differences in gender, sexuality, masculinity, and other issues. And the feminism has been in a bad connotation for years in Egypt, and we insisted, because when we began Nazra, we thought that it is maybe the time of new wave for the feminist movement in Egypt, and we are reclaiming the word and the movement and also the approach. So it's not only about women representation, or it's not only about the checklist, it's about the process of thinking, living between multi-identities, layers, and a deep understanding for feminism as an approach of thinking. I think it's important to see the situation and analyzing women human rights defenders' context in our region from this gender and feminist perspective. And I do think that I'm one of these examples, because not only that I'm a woman human rights defender, but I'm a feminist activist. But also as a feminist, I have been charged to support women to have irresponsible liberty. And I do think this is how the clear gender and perspective of a securitized, authoritarian, and patriarchal regimes and systems can see the work of the feminists. They are seeing us as irresponsible, as if there is a type of women and activists, and as if they are not going through this set of rules, they are prostitutes, and as if feminists who are calling for their rights, she is leading them in an appropriate system. So I do think that this charge is clearly defining how our society and this structure, which is so clear and implemented by authoritarian and securitized regime, is expressing. I think one of the best things of being a feminist is to being engaged and being in this solidarity and understanding to different layers and different school of work and different struggles in the world. Being all the time proud of being a feminist, that I could, by this level of thinking and analyzing, continue trying to understand big things and hard things when we are living in. So it's also important, by being a local activist, that we have to know that we are part of this world which mainly not seeing us in a good way. It's harder in certain communities, but at the same time, it's also important to analyze patriarchy and masculinity and militarization within this context of power and power dynamics. And we can see violence as a big definition, violence as societal violence, violence against women, rape, targeting sexual groups within this context. So I'm seeing militarization as a word which is governed by war, power of blood, as if we love to be in war, and we are undermine all people who are calling for peace or stability and healing for societies. I do think that deciding that you will go with your journey as a feminist, and honestly, yani, I know also it sounds so cheesy, but I'm a person who's living with passion. And every day I do think that women and people in our region, especially women and battered women, deserve better.